All right, here we go. Yes. Let me double check sound. Folks, what a story by Channel 12. It warrants talking about it. We'll let everybody file in a little bit. Yep. All right, on X, we're good. And then I will check as some other people file in. Like many of you, I am totally thrown by this story. What an absolute disgrace by the Rhode Island State Police. But it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think should be done. But we'll let other people weigh in. There we go. We are live. Let me just share that. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this is completely unacceptable. And it's not over. And I'll explain why. That colonel of the Rhode Island State Police, he needs to go. He absolutely needs to go. This is insanity. What is this? Hey, great job by Channel 12. Great job by Channel 12. And this is a complete disgrace, which I'm going to talk about, that the Rhode Island State Police and this guy, how about the fact that he's making this trooper, Nuno, this guy making the disgrace of the state police. This guy, hold on, here's the one I want. Over $300,000 a year. How about that? Over $300,000 a year, member of the Rhode Island State Police. As a matter of fact, almost $314,000. But what the Channel 12 story illustrated was that guy, and I don't really know this trooper, Nuno Vasquez, but that he was not one night, but more than one night, they have him all over the road on 295. They start to follow him. Great job, by the way, by Channel 12. Now, this also presents a little bit of a problem for WMKRO because they won't do a Channel 12 story. But not one night, more than one night. So the Rhode Island State Police, again, I give credit, Channel 12, Tim White. This is back in March. They pull him over, and then they see it's him, and they remove him from his vehicle. There it is. They remove him from the vehicle, and he's sitting there, and then they inform him they're going to call a tow truck. And suddenly, the drunk who's making over $300,000, and there you see it in print, no, you're not towing my fucking truck. What an asshole. Let me explain what happened here. And there's some trooper names here, by the way. There's some trooper names here. Some people were asking who were some of the other troopers. Their names are in the report. This Trooper Hogan, and there's another one, Trooper Clark. So here's where this goes off. Somebody told them, this drunk, this asshole, and by the way, he is. I don't think I know this guy. He clearly, here's where the troopers should have stepped up, because this guy clearly doesn't care about their jobs. Because if he cared about their jobs, he wouldn't be behaving in this way. But when you have someone on the state police, apparently that's making $313,000 a year, then maybe they don't care about how it looks, or to me, clearly does not care about the other members of the Rhode Island State Police. What an absolute disgrace. So number one, do they give him a breathalyzer? The answer is no. Not only do they let him, let's go through this. State police are arriving on the scene. They don't know who it is. A citizen called in that this trooper, someone is all over the road. And if you see the body cam footage that Tim White Channel 12 has, he is swerving all over. We've also learned that he did this apparently 2 nights in a row. 2 nights in a row. What happened the other night? So, quite all right. So, not only they pull him over, get him out of the vehicle. Now he's, smells of alcohol, clearly intoxicated. This is my problem with the Rhode Island State Police. The person intoxicated starts making the decisions and says to them, "You're not towing my fucking truck. You follow me. You follow me. I'll drive a straight line." Hey, time out. That's not the way this works, Sergeant. So that's how it goes down. And now you have one trooper that, and I want to get this right, who's already retired. And then you bring in the head of the Rhode Island State Police, who admittedly, I don't really know that well. I don't know that well. McKee put him there, right? This Daryl Weaver. Admittedly, I've seen him. I don't know if I've ever, maybe at a press conference I maybe interacted. I posted, should he be fired? Darnell Weaver, Colonel of the Rhode Island State Police. Well, these guys, they're destroying the Rhode Island State Police. And that jerk, clearly, there he is, the colonel. Well, he clearly doesn't care. And that sergeant, Vass Clone, whatever the frig his last name is, he doesn't care about the state police. If he cared, he wouldn't be behaving this way. What was I talking about? It's Tuesday night. What was I talking about yesterday? About the Westerly DUI. And I was surprised at a lot of the people's reaction. Folks, listen, there's a DUI problem in the state. But let's go back into the story. And again, I want to credit Channel 12. If you haven't seen it, it just broke tonight. It's an exclusive. You need to watch it. Because this trooper now, they forced him to retire. No, he should have been fired. What does that mean when he's forced to retire? That means he gets his pension. He was placed on administrative leave. This guy sounds like a total a-hole. This sergeant with the Rhode Island State Police. They let him decide, no, you're going to follow me. Hey, it doesn't work that way. Now, it gets better. The governor signed off on this. Folks, not only has Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, not only has he destroyed the infrastructure, not only has he destroyed the business climate, but now he's destroying and allowing Colonel Weaver to destroy the state police. Why is that guy? Of course he doesn't want to leave his job. He's making over $300,000 a year, and he can drive drunk on the Rhode Island roads, apparently back to back. Why was this happening 2 nights in a row? Why did Governor McKee sign off on this? Why did the colonel of the state police, Colonel Weaver, why is this okay? Now, who was in charge that night? Right? Every time we're at a scene, there's always a supervisor. There's always somebody that's in charge. Where was the supervisor that night? Listen, in plain English, like what the frig is going on? This is complete bullshit. And it's not only they said move over, and they let him drive after they just watched him all over the road. Do you realize the legal jeopardy that this individual, what a jerk this guy is, this Sergeant Nuno, whatever the frig, off-duty trooper ousted after leaving DUI stop. Well, it goes a lot deeper than that. That's the Channel 12 headline. Not only that, who allowed him to leave? Why is he calling the shots? Why is the guy, he does need to go. Governor Magoo does need to go. He absolutely could. How about this? If he had killed someone, the state police are following him. This is protocol. This is the state police. So in other words, we can't do any better than these people. This is a joke. I can't believe how bad this story is. And Governor McKee signed off. Now watch, he's going to try to hide. He's going to try to hide. And he shouldn't be allowed to hide. He absolutely should not be allowed to hide. What a disgraceful story this is. And not, a problem with this jerk that they forced him to retire. Notice also he pled not guilty. Watch, he'll try to get his job back. Don't you understand? He should go to jail, Linda. People like this, that guy, that sergeant, whatever the frig his last name is, they don't care about the state police. It's a money grab. That's all it is. It's a big money grab. That's why he has the job in the first place. That's why he stayed in the job. And then look at it. Oh, you follow me. Why is he the one calling the shots? Absolute insanity. You're not talking about like a rookie trooper on the scene. So let me hear. Is this I'm not sure if this is the right story.
Fighting global malnutrition.
No, that's not it. Hold on. This is it. I think this should be it. Follow me home. And they allow it. The Rhode Island State Police. And then somebody else had to retire. What exactly is going on? Why did Governor McKee sign off on this? The governor had to sign off on it. I'm going to play the story right now. It's infuriating is what it is.
Now to a Target 12 investigative
Listen to this.
exclusive. A longtime member of the Rhode Island State Police, suspected of drunk driving, drove away from troopers who pulled him over, but was not charged that night and never charged with drunk driving. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shannon Hagee.
I'm Mike Montecalvo. The incident led to a months-long internal investigation at the Rhode Island State Police. Target 12 investigator Tim White obtained court records and police video from the case. He's here now with what we learned.
This incident resulted in the forced retirement of a state police sergeant who was pulled over that night, and a top official at the agency admits this was a breakdown of professional standards at the state police. This is dashboard video from a state police cruiser in the early morning hours of March 23rd on 295 South in Cranston. A trooper responding to a 911 call after someone says they witnessed a pickup truck striking a barrier but keep going. The caller continued to follow the truck until state police arrived. You can see the truck swerve toward the median and over 2 lanes, then again into the breakdown lane before the trooper turns on his lights, pulling the driver over. The trooper's body-worn camera video shows him shine his light at the driver, then turns off the audio on his camera system. The driver is Nuno Vasconcelos, a state police sergeant with 20 years on the job. Court records show the trooper observed Vasconcelos slightly stumble and unsteady on his feet and detected
DEI hire
of an alcoholic beverage. Vasconcelos was told to sit in the passenger seat of the state police
DEI hire.
He was informed his truck would be towed from the scene. A police report shows Vasconcelos became agitated, telling them, "You are towing my expletive truck, and get in your expletive cruiser and follow me home. I'm going to drive in a straight line." You can see Sergeant Vasconcelos then gets back into his truck and drives away.
And they allow it.
Vasconcelos was never given a field sobriety test or charged that night with any crime after taking off.
Bullshit.
Lieutenant Colonel Robert Kramer tells Target 12, "We are disappointed with the response to the incident
Disappointed?
and the lack of appropriate guidance and supervision. It did not meet the expectations of the Rhode Island State Police." 5 days after the incident, an internal investigation was launched and Vasconcelos was placed on administrative leave.
DEI hire.
Colonel Darnell Weaver forced Vasconcelos to retire under a rarely used law that allows the colonel to move on from a trooper if they've been on the job for 20 years or more. Earlier this month, Vasconcelos was charged with 2 misdemeanors, was not charged with drunk driving. The internal investigation also revealed he had been stopped the night before by troopers. Details of that incident were not released. Kramer says a supervisor working that night voluntarily retired in the wake of the incident. Vasconcelos pleaded not guilty this morning at his arraignment. His attorney, Ed Roy, says it was still too early in the case to comment.
Good job by Tim White. Governor McKee signed off on it, by the way. Signed off on it. All right, couple things that stand out. Number one, well, release the documents from the night before. What is this? A breakdown. Folks, this is Keystone Cops. Now, as many of you know, that is exactly right. Sergeant Bruno would never. Here's the thing with an asshole like this guy, with the DEI hire. Here's my problem with him. This guy doesn't give a shit about the Rhode Island State Police. So you know what? When you have someone like that, they shouldn't care about him. They should have given him the breathalyzer. Why are you putting your job on the line for a jerk like this? This guy is a complete selfish asshole. He is. He is a dirtbag. He has no business being a trooper. Talk about abuse. He's allowed to retire. He should not be retiring. Allowed to retire. That's exactly right. Look the other way. You know, here's the thing. Strutting around, got some scam, making over $300K a year. 314, by the way. Totally strutting around. You're going to follow me. Who the fuck do you think you... See, he doesn't care about those troopers. He doesn't care if they run into trouble. He doesn't care if the supervisor... Now the supervisor on duty, he had to retire. Do you understand? People like this are a cancer. You can't care about a guy like this. Guess what? He doesn't care. This Vansquelo, he doesn't give a shit at all. Total drunken, selfish a-hole is what he is. So my point is, you're not helping him. Why are you going to put your career at risk for him? For this jerk? Not one night, 2 nights in a row. Why'd they let it go? Who is that put in for the retirement? You know, here's the thing about the Rhode Island State Police. What the hell is going on over there? I'll tell you what's going on. Colonel Weaver should not be the head of the Rhode Island State Police. He should go. Absolutely. This is bullshit. How many other times has this happened? How many times has this guy gotten away with it? Let's dig in. How is a trooper making $313,000 a year? Another scam. I'm telling you. And McKee signed off on it. They should take his pension away. Notice they let him, we're going to force you to retire. Number one, he should have been charged with DUI. Number two, he should have been given a breathalyzer. All right, let's just say you say, no, but you don't let him drive away. That is a complete breakdown. You don't let him drive away. You know what else? They're shutting off their cameras. They're turning off the microphones. They'd say sidebar and turn it off. That's what happens when you're in court and the attorneys are going to speak with the judge. They say sidebar. You can't hear what they're saying. Like, how many of these games and antics is going on? That is exactly right. Colonel Stone never would have put up with it. Hey, you're paying his salary. That's right, Brenda. That's taxpayer money. Disgrace of the state police, allowing him to drive drunk. This jerk, and he is. There's nothing seeming redeeming about this guy. Why would you're a trooper, these younger troopers, why are you going to let this guy destroy your career? They should have put him in cuffs. Screw it. Guess what? He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your career. He doesn't care about your training. To the troopers that let him get away with this. He doesn't care about your family. He doesn't care about your career. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. Why are you going to look at one of the troopers already was forced to retire? Look at the damage. This guy is a total cancer. Forced him to retire. He should have been terminated. Absolutely disgraceful. McKee signed off on it. Time out. Listen, that Colonel Weaver, Darnell Weaver, clearly not up to the job. When does this bullshit end? How many times has this happened? Well, they didn't release the documents. It also happened the night before. Oh, it happened the night before. Gee, what a shock. He did it again. Folks, let me be very clear. As many of you know, I'm supportive of law enforcement. I ride with law enforcement. Like everyone else, I feel sick that a member of New York City Police was gunned down and killed last night. Let's just, let's explain the difference. New York City police officer, hero. Died, try to stop a gunman. This guy is a jerk. This guy is not a hero. Drunken bum. Total abuse asshole. Way wrong, Renee. Ridiculous. The fucking attitude on this guy. You're not towing my truck. Oh, so he's in charge at the scene. He's the one calling the shots. Who the frig was the supervisor? What the fuck is going on with these guys? I wish this happened while I was out live. We would have put the camera on him and exposed him. This is insanity. Folks, this is the Rhode Island State Police. Now, to me, clearly, Darnell Weaver, the colonel, is not up for the job. To me, that's more than clear. He's allowing this to go on. Good evening, Loretta. You know, Ron McKee is incompetent. He's destroyed the bridge. He's destroyed the infrastructure. He's destroyed the private sector. You don't let someone do this with the Rhode Island State Police. When Colonel Weaver came to him, right, a responsible governor would have said, all right, one or two things is going to happen. Either he's getting fired or you're getting fired. But somebody's getting fired here. Well, we're going to force him to retire so he can collect his pension. I don't think so. Well, see, the thing was, Governor, it was the second night in a row, so we didn't think he was going to do it 2 nights in a row. Oh, were you looking for a hat trick? Think he would do it 3 times? Folks, I take no joy in this. This guy's a bad apple. He is bad news. You know, and I can't stand this selfishness. That's right. Who is running the state of Rhode Island? Farah. Wow. You know, what is so troubling here is, like, was anyone prepared to make the right call? So the person, this is how the Rhode Island State Police operates. Whoever's the most intoxicated, they make the decisions. So the drunk guy who's all over the road, he's calling the shots. He's making the decisions. This is 2 nights in a row. 2 nights in a row. What did I say on Monday? You watch. Hold on. Are you talking? Is Jacob Rue talking to me? I'll let him clarify. I am? Or are you talking about the trooper? Let's let him clarify. Before I overreact. Jacob Rue, you're going to clarify. Are you talking about me? Are you talking about the trooper? We'll give him a moment. I'll be patient only for a minute. So what does that mean? Why? Because I don't think a trooper should be allowed to drive drunk? Why? Why should that happen? I think I know where this is going. I'll take care of him. See, sometimes it's better that I'm doing it. Here we go. The governor is the problem, as a matter of fact. The governor is the problem. But, of course, the governor's the problem. They should have pulled him over again, not let him go home once inside the house drunk. Yes. Yes, thank you, Barb. Ludicrous. And they let him go. But look at that. There we have someone, folks, coming after me because, no, I don't think he should be a member of the state police. No, I do not. And I was just, you know, this is Tuesday night. That's right, Brenda. This is Tuesday night. What was I saying? I spent the whole weekend of these people. Why are you posting that poor girl who was pulled over, suspected DUI? Why are you posting that? There is a problem with drunk driving. I'm not picketing anything. You don't have to do a picket. Listen, this is pressure on the governor. The governor's allowing this to happen. The governor had to sign off on this 2 times, Nicole. They even said this happened the night before. They stopped him the night before and let him go. Then they stop him again. Gee, what a shock. He's driving drunk all over the road, according to the state police, 2 nights in a row. How many times before that? How many? Oh, let me guess. So he's been going through a tough time. There's so much of this that is wrong. The drunk trooper should not be the one making the call. Hey, he's the one that brought it upon himself. Look at the damage being done. Look at the damage being done. He also pleads not guilty. Part of it should have been, you're going to be forced out and you're going to plead guilty to this, period. This is insanity. Oh, no, of course he pleads not guilty. Why is he making over $300K a year? Why? What exactly? Rhode Island State Trooper arrested. Look at that, the salary. $314. That's our money, by the way. Taxpayer money. You pay his salary. I pay his salary. Terrible. Absolutely terrible that this is being allowed. Look at this, Colby. Colby just can't leave it alone. Nope. He just can't leave it alone. No. Look at, I like that. Look at Colby. You're not out tonight. Look at that, Colby. Oh, making demands? Should I be? Should I be? Colby? Should I be? Since you're in command. There we go. Again. Look at that. 2 in a row. No, I am. I'm driving. You can't tell that I'm driving? Everybody seeing that? The destruction of Road Patrol Live is asking, why am I not out on Road Patrol tonight? Folks, let me be very clear. This is a complete breakdown. We expect more from the Rhode Island State Police. Governor McKee, according to the Channel 12 story, had to sign off on it, if I read that correctly, which I did. Am I supportive of law enforcement? 100%. This is I don't know what this is. This isn't law enforcement. That trooper clearly should not. He was forced to retire under a rarely used state law. So let me guess, he gets his full pension. Nuno. March 23rd. Police responded 911 calls. The general public has to call. General public has to call. What an absolute disaster these people are. It did not meet the expectations of the Rhode Island State Police. It didn't meet the expectations of the Keystone Cops. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Kramer. Commanders are disappointed with the response to the incident. Lack of appropriate guidance and supervision. It is a complete breakdown. Complete breakdown from the turning off of the cameras. But don't you see that, and him telling the troopers, you get in your fucking cruiser, follow me home. I'm going to drive in a straight line. Do you understand that? Do you see the damage that this guy does? In addition to the incident, the investigation showed troopers stopped him the prior night. Details haven't been released just yet. The supervisor working that night retired in the wake of the incident. Do you see the damage someone like this does? This guy is a cancer. See, he's calling the shots. He's not following the law. If anything, he's putting himself in danger. He's putting other people on the road in danger. He doesn't care that he's dragging everybody down, swerving all over the road. The governor had to sign off on this. Why did Governor McKee sign off on this? He should be asked. On May 5th, Colonel Darnell Weaver forced him to retire under an obscure state law that allows the superintendent to end a trooper's employment if the individual has worked for at least 20 years. The law requires approval of the governor. So what does that tell? What does that tell us? Governor McKee signed off. Wow. Folks, like many of you, I don't know. Like many of you, look at what New York City's going through right now. New York City is going through a time that they should, that people are talking about back to blue, and they should do that. But There's so much of this. As a matter of fact, there's nothing about this story, if you think of it, that is right. Now we have to wait to get details of the first incident. So the night before. And let me just go to the calendar. Offhand, obviously, I can't, what night of the week is this? So this guy's out back to back, getting stopped. March 23rd was a Sunday night. So he did a Saturday, Sunday. Or, excuse me, wait a minute. It's the early morning hours. So after midnight. So maybe it's a Friday, Saturday that he was doing something like that. So he's out and gets pulled over, apparently, and they let him go. Now, we don't know all the details of that yet. But the second night, he's again, according to the Rhode Island State Police body cam that Channel 12 showed, that trooper, he's once again all over the road. And as he's all over the road, people are calling 911. When the state police pull him over, they realize it's this sergeant, however you pronounce his last name, the one that makes about $314,000 a year of your taxpayer money from the Rhode Island State Police. So what happens? First, they bring him out, make him sit in the squad car, and then they initially are going to call a tow truck, and then he jumps up and says, "You're not towing my truck," and then he takes charge of the situation and storms off and says, "You're going to follow me." So now he's calling the shots. So the troopers go through this. Listen, a supervisor, who's the supervisor that retired? Did they phone it in? Listen, 2 nights in a row, and then they let him retire. So I imagine what? They followed him home, wherever that is, taking him, those troopers off the road. 5 days later, they started an investigation. 5 days later. So would that be Friday or Saturday? Why didn't they start an investigation that Monday? As I said, there's nothing good about this situation. There's nothing good about this situation. You're not even talking about one rookie trooper. So, wow. I mean, he just can't leave it alone. Just can't leave it alone. Nope. But I was notified I can only do the show if he's part of it. That's what I was told. So that's why we're not out tonight. No, he has to be involved. He's got to be involved. Not sure I fully understand that. What an absolute disgrace. I mean it. I want to be very clear. I take no joy in... Here we go. I take no joy in doing any story about police after what happened last night, but it, to me, Friday night, we had that female in Westerly Police pulled her over, videotaped it. I did a couple clips of it. The backlash, the outroar, time to unfollow. People, why are you posting this? Give her a break. She's in a bathing suit. I'm telling you, there is a problem with, he is controlling the show. Yep. There's a problem with DUI in this state. There's a problem with DUI in the state. And but on this one, Governor McKee had to sign off. So look how this went up the chain. Colonel Weaver had to know about it. Why did the investigation? Here are my questions. Number one, how come nothing happened the first night? Happened 2 nights in a row, number one. Number two, why did the investigation start 5 days after this happened? That to me tells me a total break in the Rhode Island State Police. Why were those troopers turning off their microphones? Why are we turning off the microphones? You're not supposed to turn off the microphones. What was their punishment? Who was in charge? Who were they asking? Someone was saying, okay, let him drive home. I'm telling you, folks, what exactly, and how much are these people making? We know this guy's making over $300,000. which I would like to, the Providence Journal, I would imagine. That is exactly right, Brandy. The whole department needs to be investigated. This is absolute insanity. So complete. I don't know, Cheryl. I don't know. He's allowed to. The cameras are there, but they're shutting off their mics. Folks, I want to repeat, this isn't some of, we have smaller police districts in our area. The Rhode Island State Police isn't one of them. Rhode Island State Police are supposed to be best of the best, right? There's supposed to be a chain of command. Who was in charge? This is why, and then he's driving. It's not even, hey, listen, you need to call a friend. Or many years ago, I exposed Peter Kilmartin, was a state rep. He was a former police officer in Pawtucket. He got pulled over by state police St. Patrick's Day night, coming from the Capitol Grill. What did they do? They had him switch, I think, with the wife. He said, "Oh, I'm sleepy," and they let her drive them home. They didn't even do this. They allowed him to drive. So the guy who was the driver, who was all over the roads, and Channel 12 did the credit, have the police body cam, dash cam, where you see him weaving in and out. He weaves into the breakdown lane. Then he weaves into the high-speed lane. They finally pull him over. He decides he's going to drive himself home. I'm telling you, there's been different breakdowns. Let's just say they pull him over. He's got a friend, date, I don't know. And they say, you two switch. I don't agree with that, but it's almost less of a problem. This is he should not be the one deciding that he's then going to drive himself home, right? That should not happen in any way. So it is. Exactly. Can you imagine, Joe? Over 300 grand this guy makes. And then, it's all below the radar. We didn't know anything. I'm unaware that they announced that there was anything on this investigation. We haven't, nothing. Silent until today. He was in court, today he was in court, pled not guilty. Now suddenly they issue a statement and they announce that he was forced to retire. Why didn't they announce that back in May? Let me explain. There's nothing good about this story. It is a very devastating story. And it certainly makes me wonder what else is going on. How many of the times is this happening? Folks, the judgment is just brutal. They're breaking one, I don't want to say law, but each act, there is a breakdown, right? First, they're, shutting off the cameras. Then they're allowing him to leave. Complete. Where is the protocol? God, no wonder why. Why should the general public feel, would that be tolerated? A member of the general public says, screw this, I'm driving home. Of course not. I want to be very clear. I posted that video of the woman down in Westerly, and I wasn't trying to, when I posted that, again, I have no idea who that is. No idea, who she is, what she does, anything like that. It's just, I was riding with police, Westerly police. To their credit, they handled that by the book. This is an absolute disgrace by the Rhode Island State Police, all the way up the chain, even up to Colonel Weaver and even to, obviously, Governor McKee. This isn't how you operate. 2 nights in a row? What an embarrassment. Total breakdown in procedure, shutting off the mics. The person suspected of drunk driving, they didn't even give him a breathalyzer, didn't have him do any of those tests. You saw that woman from Westerly police had her doing the test. How come she had to do it and the state police, how come the sergeant didn't have to do it? What an absolute disgrace. Complete disgrace this is. Well, it just broke out tonight, Brandy. It did. And I want to credit Channel 12, Tim White breaking the story. I still think there's more room to go. I want to know the report of the night before. I want to know who was the supervisor that night who was on, who suddenly is retired. Notice they're retiring, and then they're taking their pensions with them. What is the punishment for these troopers? Listen, I feel bad. I do feel for these younger troopers that allowed themselves. Someone was telling them, maybe I take the blame off them. Who was the supervisor that night? Who said it's okay, just follow him, let him drive himself home? What an absolute disgrace. I mean, it just is from top to bottom. You know what's so discouraging about this as well is the fact that it wasn't just like one spur of the moment bad decision, right? Like it happened the night before. I don't know. Did anyone say anything to him? Did anyone call him the next day? Hey, listen, we cut you a break last night, right? Do you have a problem? You better not be on the road tonight. What was said? Are we to believe this is the only time this has happened with this guy? How many times has this happened? Why do they keep letting him get away with it? Now, this also tells me that it's very possible that someone, and I'll give credit, Tim White of Channel 12. Hi there, Crystal. He has good connections, good sources with the Rhode Island State Police. I am willing to bet that either a trooper or a retired trooper dropped a dime to Tim White and said, this is out of control. This guy, this is a joke. They keep letting him get away with it. Was he stopped while he was on administrative leave with pay? There's nothing good. This is pattern and practice. Folks, let me explain something. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. This is how you destroy a police department, by allowing this type of stuff. This is how you destroy a police department. I'm not surprised, by the way. Of course, like under McKee, something like this would happen. It can't be tolerated. It can't be tolerated. If there's someone that has a substance abuse problem, then they need to get help. They didn't help him. What about the troopers the night before that let him go? Did he learn from that? Were they helping him the night before? A guy like this is a cancer. He destroys the organization. These troopers allowed him to sully their reputations and destroy the work that they do. You don't cut someone like that a break. What an absolute joke. And the fact that Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee signed off on this. No statement. Oh, I let the colonel handle it. Folks, as I've told you, we have a drunk driving problem in the state. We have a drunk driving problem. And this is the state police. I was just complaining about this on Monday, that the DUI laws are written by criminal defense attorneys. We have, Connecticut is tougher on drunk driving than Rhode Island is. Massachusetts is tougher than Rhode Island is. Now you have the state police. They let him drive himself home after they saw him all over the road. This is state police. I don't get it. Then none of them should be police. What exactly is going on? Where's the profile and courage? What I meant to say was, look at the damage that Michael Proctor did to the Massachusetts State Police. One person, this guy, they should get involved, although they're easily bought off. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Look at, and this guy, hey, he's a state trooper making $314,000 a year. Ludicrous. I'll bet he's been gaming the system with overtime. That's why he thinks he can get away with it. He's the one. He's one of the highest paid troopers. He's one of the highest paid personnel in Rhode Island. What a disgrace. I get disappointed when I've tried to involve MAD in the past, I have found they're easily bought off by a lot of the politicians. They're not as effective as you think they'd be. All right, folks, it's Tuesday night. We are going to monitor all the goings on out there, but I did want to talk about it. I think this story is just in its infancy. I'm going to start to dig in, get some information as well. I want to give full credit to Tim White of Channel 12. Fantastic job. So, folks, it's a very hot night. Stay cool. We will be back out soon with Road Patrol Live. But what a disgraceful day for the Rhode Island State Police. And that Colonel Weaver should go. He should absolutely be forced out. Nope, not up to running the department. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that say that lightly. As a matter of fact, there's no other police chief out there right now that I'm saying that person needs to go. Not one. He needs to go. He can't handle his department. This isn't how you run a police department. You just don't. All right, everybody.